Alright, well, down at one of the rental properties here, and it's kind of cold outside, and got the call for heat, and well, went to fire up this old boiler, and it fired right up, but it kicked out a big old cloud of smoke and was running really dirty, so I had to shut it down and didn't have any heat for the night. But needless to say, I'm here to clean it all out and get it working right again. And basically what happens is all this thing inside here is going to be filled with soot crud. And you can almost see some of the soot coming back out through the front, which isn't good. Need it to all pull through the system. And could relate to a clogged chimney, but the chimney does seem pretty clear when I open it. But I'm sure if we take a peek down inside this boiler, we're going to see quite a bit of crud. And what's happening is all that stuff is restricting the flow of air coming out through this, so it's not flowing fast enough to get this soot and fume out of there. So we got to take this apart and clean it up. But we'll start down below and open this up, take the box out and clean out the little eye there. What you want to do is wear some really bad clothes, like these are my favorite jackets here, and get yourself some gloves and rags and start ripping and tearing into here. It's pretty simple. Take off the rest of the chimney so it's easy to access inside here, and we'll pull this off first at the bottom with these 5 bolts. Peel it out of here. I'll show you what to do from there. Alright, if you look, you can see there's not a whole lot of blockage in this pipe. So, you know, it's mainly all coming out of this boiler, this soot particle stuff. Now I took off my bolts and nuts here, and down and around. Now we're going to get our first look at what this looks like inside here. Let me see if I can... Yeah, little rock's all I really need, I think, just to keep it up off the ground. You need something to lean on. Okay. There we go. That ought to work. Still just enough to it. So, if we look at what we're looking at now, when we pull this off, this piece here is just your insulation shield that goes against the front. So we'll pull him out of the way. It looks pretty good. I'll clean up nice. Try to remember which direction this always goes back together with the V's on the top. Yeah, tuck this over here. Shouldn't need that for a while. If you're wondering what I'm in here, I'm in a little pit. And basically, it's a dirt floor. This basement flooded really bad, I don't know, 100 years ago. So they put the boiler inside this little concrete pit. So now the water has to get up to here before it hits the boiler. Put the water heaters in there too. Kind of a slick little idea. Alright, now you can see a bunch of the soot down here on the bottom. And if we look up here, this is the problem. You can see how thick that is. And if we take a screwdriver and start poking around, all that's got to get cleaned out so that air and soot and fire and smoke can go up through all these fins. And that's why our boiler isn't working right now. So I have the vacuum. Now you also want to make sure when you're doing this that while you have it apart, clean all this stuff out. Make sure your little injector and your little eye that are reading all this to make sure it's working are clean and operating correctly as well. And your little thing should tell you your resistance and how you're running. But other than that, all this really does is squirt some oil through here into here. It ignites and burns, and exhaust goes up. And the hot exhaust heats up these fins throughout this box. So let me get cleaning and pulling all this apart. Take it from there. You literally see a ton of stuff coming out of this. All this little bit of stuff. Kind of a little tricky to see, but that's all the stuff you got. Eventually, we'll get some of that in the cleaner. Alright, so here's where we're at. We have the flashlight in there, and you can see it's getting a little cleaner. Still some crud in there, but let me show you this. And I've been vacuuming. I emptied that thing 3 times now, so there's a lot of crud that came out of this thing. Now, if you look down in there, that little bit of light that you can see from the flashlight, there should be a little more coming through. I get a couple good channels, but some are a lot better than others. So there's still quite a bit of nastiness inside this thing. And basically this is all full of water inside these, and the more you clean the soot off of this, the better heat transfer you get between the flame and the water. And you get a little more heat and boost your efficiency, and that's the name of the game, is to be as efficient as you can. So I'm going to keep scraping away at this, keep pecking away, and get some more of this crud off of there so it works better, and try to clean those channels out. Takes a little while, just tedious, but overall just keep vacuuming, and the more you run the vacuum, it sucks all the pressure and the soot right out of there for you, somewhat. Dirty job though. And then that much more stuff came out of it, so it just doesn't stop. You keep cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, and just until you think you got it all out of there. Alright, pretty much as cleaned up as we're going to get here. So we can, well, we want to make sure we fix our gasket as best we can. We'll put that on a list to get a new gasket. And make sure this goes together and bolt it back up and fire it up and see how it goes. Alright, well, we have it back together here. And basically, a little trick that I have for firing these up when it's cold. If your boiler hasn't been running a little while, basically your chimney is cold. And what that does is you'll have a bunch of heat here, and you have to push it up the chimney. Now if you can get the chimney warm, it'll pull the heat and soot and vent your house and vent your chimney correctly. So I've discovered if you take a propane torch and you just put it over by here for a minute, I mean, you can just let it sit in there. Basically the heat from that is going to go up the chimney and start pre-warming the chimney, and that'll get a nice draft going, so when we hook the rest of this together and fire it up, should be good to go. It doesn't take long, just a minute or two. Basically I'll add the elbow back on here, then I'll put it in the bottom once I do. I think you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see the flame kind of will curl right up in there. As soon as you get a good flow going, you'll see it pull up. And it'll direct the flame. See, it's already starting to pull itself. That's how much of a draft that the air is getting it. And I'm trying to go down, and you can see the air from the chimney sucking that heat in the flame. So now we know we're pretty good. Cool. So now what we'll do is we'll click some switches here. And now we got power back to our boiler, and it's going to take a couple seconds to fire up. So let me go ahead and get this chimney cover back on. Now it actually kicks on and goes. It's ready. Alright. So yeah, alright, I heard this click. That's going to give me power down here. Okay, software version 19. Stand by, any second it's going to kick. Let's see, it's probably going to be countdown here. Mission trial. Ooh, we got flames. And we have no soot coming out through. Before, like the other day, this was running, this was just kicking and caking, actually, last night. So that's good. I can feel the heat in the chimney. So that's good. We're going. So now what we got to do is hang out here for a couple minutes and make sure that the temperature gets up there. And I have this marked where it should go to, and watch our pressure. And we've pretty much fixed this. So that's a really good sign. And I didn't have to spend a fortune to have somebody come and do it. Another thing now, if I hadn't just done this, I would be doing it now. This right here, this is your fuel filter. And if you look, that's what they look like. They're like a couple bucks. Take this apart, stick a new one in. You want to close this first before you do, so the oil stays here, and then just screw it back in and you're good to go. Like I said, I would have changed it if I didn't just do it. It was done days ago, so I know that's good. Other than that, this thing's pretty much ready to go for the season until next winter, and a couple little things. I want to get a new gasket for it and touch up here and there. Add that to the list. It's always something you need. But as long as it stays running, and there you go. That's what it's doing. Ooh, that's already warm. And there you go. Boiler's fixed. So a couple hours of vacuum and screwdriver and flashlight, and you can, you know, obviously a set of clothes and some gloves, and you're done. So So if you like this one, check out our other stuff. I mean, we have an outdoor wood boiler video that's really amazing, and it shows we built that ourselves and how all this works. And that one works on wood, but you know, that's how it goes around here. Fix your own stuff sometimes. Mr. Brian's Amazing World, check it out. You have to like and subscribe to this. Please do. We're counting on your support, and go out and fix your stuff. And come to me if you need anything and you have any questions. Thank you. There it is. Temperature's climbing. It's shutting off. And it's burning beautifully. Clean. I like it.